guys, welcome back to my channel, Britain F1. If you're new to my channel and you do like the look of this channel, then please hit the subscribe button down below, and if you do like this video, please give it a big thumbs up. So in today's video, I want to talk about Mercedes. And over the last few days, reports have come out that contract negotiations with Lewis Hamilton have come to a halt, purely based on the fact that the top owners of Mercedes don't really want to give Lewis a long-term contract or even give him a pay rise, which I'm personally a bit shocked about. You know, he's a 7-time world champion and they want to give him less money than he's already on. I don't really understand the reasoning behind that. But they also don't really want to give him a long-term contract because they are set on George Russell. And there is a few reports and rumours flying around on Twitter that Mercedes would even prefer to give George Russell the seat over Lewis Hamilton, which I think can't be true really. Why would you want to not have a 7-time champion in your seat and someone who could deliver the results? So I think rumours like that are all circulating at the minute and producing a lot of conspiracy theories. But it got me thinking about Mercedes and their junior programme, and why has a Mercedes junior never made it to the top team? If we look at Red Bull, their whole junior programme is always creating new talent, bringing new talent through, and even promoting them to the top team even when they're not ready. So why does Mercedes never do that? They had Pascal Wehrlein, who was a pretty good driver, to be honest. He got points in his Formula 1 season even when he was driving for Manor, which is pretty crazy. And then we have Esteban Ocon, which his future looks pretty set to go to Mercedes, but it just never happened. So that's what I want to discuss in today's video. Why does a Mercedes junior never make it to the top team? And why is Mercedes so set on George Russell? So before George Russell came about, in 2016 when Nico Rosberg retired, he won his world championship and then just decided to retire, it looked like Pascal Wehrlein was pretty much set for that seat, and everyone was quite surprised when they gave the seat to Valtteri Bottas. And then the rest is pretty much history. So Mercedes didn't go with Pascal Wehrlein, and it was quite a shock because they had pretty much sacked off their junior talent, which you wouldn't really see from any other team. So why did Mercedes do that? Now, at the time of choosing the 2017 seat, Toto Wolff was actually Valtteri Bottas's manager, so that is probably the reason they went with Valtteri in the end over Pascal Wehrlein, which is quite a shame because he was actually a pretty decent driver. But then if you think about it, that just defeats the whole point of a junior program. So another junior talent was obviously Esteban Ocon. So when Nico Rosberg retired, they bumped up Valtteri Bottas to the top team, leaving Pascal Wehrlein to go down to Sauber, and he was racing old engine Ferraris, which was a pretty big downgrade, especially for a junior talent like him. And then we had Esteban Ocon, and he was the more favoured junior talent, again younger, was tipped to be maybe a future world champion, so they put him into the Force India at the time. And Esteban obviously had a great start to his F1 career, got some pretty good results, and then in 2018 when Bottas had an awful year, he couldn't even win a race, it was pretty bad, it looked like they were going to give the seat to Esteban Ocon. But they never did. They stuck with Valtteri again for another season, and it's just a bit of a similar story that they are creating with Valtteri. They always sign him on a 1-year extension, 1-year deal, when he doesn't deliver the points, when you could have a fresh young junior talent coming into that seat who could gain even more success for the team. So again, they have sacked off a junior talent for Valtteri Bottas. And then we have George Russell. So George is obviously under Toto Wolff. I think he is his manager at the minute. So it does look set that he will eventually make it to Mercedes. A similar story with the whole Valtteri Bottas situation. But again, at the start of the 2020 season, Mercedes signed Valtteri for another one-year deal, completely binning off George Russell for the 2021 seat. And it did look pretty set that George would be in the seat for 2021, and it was a pretty big shock when Mercedes did sign Valtteri for the 2021 season. They pretty much signed him after the first race, which I think was a bit too quick, and you guys know my opinions on that. But again, they had completely sacked off their junior talent. It would have been much better for George to be in the seat for 2021 so he could learn under Lewis and gain a bit of perspective about the team before the new regulation changes for 2022. But then the Sakya Grand Prix happened, and I think that changed everyone's perspective on junior talent. I don't think anyone was expecting George to go into the Sakya Grand Prix and perform the way he did. He completely outperformed Bottas, and considering he only had a few days to learn the car, completely learn all the new systems, because the Mercedes is so much better than the Williams. So to learn everything and completely beat your teammate throughout the whole Grand Prix was just crazy. We all know Bottas's strong points are Friday practice. George completely wiped the floor with him on Friday practice, fell a little bit off in FP3, but brought it back in qualifying, just missing off pole by 200 milliseconds, I think it was in the end. But for a guy to come in and perform like that was just crazy, and I think that is what has made Mercedes think and stop and really consider their junior talent. George for me is 10 times better than Esteban Ocon and Pascal Wehrlein, so is a junior that needs to be in the top team. But will he make it? So it does look like the Lewis negotiations are kind of rolled around George Russell and what he can do. I think Lewis is a little bit cautious to have a young performing teammate up against him. With Valtteri, it's a safe option, it's a safe bet. He knows Bottas is not going to challenge him, but throw George into the mix and George could definitely challenge Lewis. And I think the whole situation with Nico Rosberg and the whole environment they created, the environment became a little bit toxic. It wasn't a great partnership, they were very competitive, and I think that's what's made Mercedes very cautious when considering George, just because they don't want a repeat of the Nico and Lewis situation. Now for me, Mercedes are definitely running out of time to snap up their future star. They do need to start thinking about the future. It's, you know, time is ticking. Lewis isn't going to be in the sport forever. They do need to think about who is going to replace Lewis, and if they don't do it anytime soon, if they don't put that pen to paper with George Russell, another team might snap him up. And how long is George willing to wait before he gets a shot at the top team? He can't wait at Williams forever. He's a completely wasted talent at Williams, and he needs to be in the top team. Now George will be entering his third year in Formula 1, so will be a lot more confident, a lot more skillful. So if you don't know much about George Russell, he has never finished lower than 4th in any of his single-seater championship. He won the 2017 GP3 series and also won the 2018 F2 series with a close battle between Lando Norris. In 2019 he stepped up to Formula 1 with Williams, where he partnered Robert Kubica, and that looks like a very interesting pairing purely based on the fact that Robert Kubica was tipped to be a future world champion before he had his accident. But George completely outperformed him on qualifying, in the races, and it just showed everyone what he was really made of. Now, with the Williams being it is really hard to see how good George is, but I think the Sakya Grand Prix really made everyone realise how good he is. If you hadn't seen him in his junior career and just saw him for the first time driving that Mercedes, you would think he had been in that car the whole season, but no, he'd only been in the car a few days. Now, the 2020 season for me has probably been one of George's best seasons. He got into Q2 about 9 times, I believe, and has completely outperformed his teammate Nicholas Latifi, although it has been a bit of a stronger pairing than what he had with Robert Kubica. Latifi definitely has been up there with him, but just not as good on a Saturday. So I think George is definitely set for Mercedes, but the question is when, and will he make it if Lewis is still about? Because I think Lewis being there is the only reason George isn't in that seat yet. I think Lewis is kind of threatened by George just because he is safe with Valtteri. So let me know your guys' thoughts on the Mercedes Junior programme as a whole. Do you think George will make it to the Mercedes top team? I generally do believe that he will, but it's a question of when, and how long is George willing to wait if it doesn't happen anytime soon? So I think it's a pretty interesting topic, especially one that is evolving at the moment, especially with Lewis's contract negotiations. So let me know your thoughts in the comments, and I will see you all in my next video. Bye!